keeping more to a structure.
Not really. I just don't know how to rant about this because I wasn't kidding. I'm not really pro or against necessarily, because for me, I don't marry myself to an idea or an ideal in general. That's just me. But if I were to have an opinion on this, it's hard for me to say that. And I was being honest with, and talking about this. I can't fathom putting myself in those shoes. I can't fathom myself being in your shoes, Ellie. I can't. I'm a guy to begin with. I just can't know what that feels like at all. Even if someone explains it to me, it's not going to be the same for everyone. It wouldn't be the same if I was in those shoes. So
Right, but
I don't know if I have a say in that. I don't know if I can form an opinion.
I'm not. So I guess I'll challenge you in saying, how can you not have an opinion when one is like a definitive cut, no, you can't do that, and the other is like, well, if you want. It's the other one is giving you the option. Like, are you against the legalization of marijuana? Because it's legal, it doesn't mean that I have to go smoke pot. I could just, now I don't get in trouble for doing what I was already doing.
You're right. You're right. And this is, in my opinion, this is a different case. There are very few situations where I think it may not apply that way, only because this is so broad. I don't know myself at what point you would consider a life, if I'm being honest with you, because is it where it's an inception? Is it at the heart rate? Is it when you actually start forming a brain? You could, bless you, you can start forming a brain and actually have a thought, because we don't know, bro. We're humans. We don't know shit.
Yeah.
We're still thinking, like, what was it, like 200 years ago? We thought the fucking Earth was the sun. Everything revolved around us. We thought the Earth was flat at some point. I don't know. Like, we don't know shit. We're still finding out stuff. If you think about it, life historically, it's only been like 2 generations or 3, whatever. It's only been 200-300 years as far as records that we can keep. What happened before that? We have no clue. That could happen to us years down the road. This civilization as we know it may not exist historically because something happened that we don't know about, and that's another topic. But my point is, I don't know how to form an opinion in this situation, because I feel like it's too broad, and it blows my mind, honestly. The more I meditate or think about it, it just blows my mind. And to begin with, like I said, I can't put myself in women's shoes in this situation. I can't fathom psychologically what it must be to go through that. And I don't think it's fair for me to say, if I were to be a woman or have that choice, I can't say what somebody else can or shouldn't do, especially to their own body. I am pro-choice as far as your body. I just can't form an opinion towards the abortion thing. Does that make sense?
I understand where you're coming from, but it still doesn't make sense that you can't make a choice to be like, because the choice is this, right? You do what you want, or no, you can't do that. It's not like you're saying, like, I think that's a good idea for you to get an abortion. You're not making that depiction. You're just saying, I'm pro-choice, which literally is choice. You have now. Because then what's the punishment going to be if they make it illegal? You're going to go to prison. So you can't abort the baby, but you can spend the first 5 years away from it by force in a place that's probably going to make you become worse of a human. Statistically, most people that go to prison end up being more of an asshole.
But that's a systematic issue, though. I think that's more of a systematic issue. It's more of like system is put in place. And yeah, I don't disagree with you in that sense, but I think it's more than that. I think it's very broad. There's a lot of factors. And like I said in the beginning of the whole podcast episode, I can't fathom one single person or entity saying this is okay or not okay, black and white cookie, whatever, like for everyone, because I think it's case by case. And even
I would agree with you.
I don't know whether or not a life is a life and at what point it is, because I treat my plants as life. I treat them with respect, but the next person may not. They may see them as fucking garbage. But I don't know. I don't know.
Again, that's it's yeah, exactly. We're human, and every human in the world, they pick and choose what they like. Like I would never eat dog. but I would eat pig, and I really don't really care to. One, because well, I say pig because I would actually love to have a pig as a pet, but I think at that point in time, I would probably not eat pork anymore.
Fair enough. It's like
So
having
it's pick and choose, right? Like you just said, you treat your plants like other beings, which in the technical sense that they are, but you don't starve yourself and say, I'm gonna eat fucking, what could you possibly eat that doesn't come from the earth in some fashion? Almost everything comes from plant. I mean, I'm gonna eat rocks from now on because they're not alive, arguably, even though they grow and form and all this bullshit. But they're not alive, and I'm gonna not eat. Like again, you're
no,
picking and choosing. You have to.
I get what you're saying. I treat them with respect as a being, but I don't starve myself from that. I
Right.
do their fruits, but I don't go and just ignore them or not water them. And not because not because it's a selfish act that I don't want to do something to harm them so that way I don't get a fruit out of at the end of it. No, I do it because I treat them as a living thing. I want to water them. I don't want them to wilt. I don't want them to be harmed in any way because you see them from seed to end, it's a circle of life, so to speak, not to get weird, but it's kind of like you see it from the beginning, you see it till the end. It's like being a parent,
Well, you don't see it from the beginning
a
because it's an
cycle,
internal feature.
cycle. Sorry,
I
sorry.
said you don't see it from the beginning technically because the seed is within your balls and it gets shot up into the uterus and mates with the.
Plants.
Well, you said it's like parenting.
It's similar to that in the sense that you're seeing something from the beginning of its life cycle to the very end when they die and they go into the earth and the worms consume it, come into something.
Hopefully your kids don't die before you, because that's, I know, every parent's worst fear.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Likewise, Alex. But yeah, that's my point of view. I see things differently than, again, this is just my world, my close world, because I can't possibly know everybody's perspective in the whole world. But for my close world, I see things very differently than most. I treat things very differently. And for in this situation, I am not sure if I can put my foot down and say, this is what I think is right. Because I don't know. I don't know. And that also goes with some other topics that we probably get into. There are others that I do have ideas about, I have opinions about, and like I said, I'm not going to be married to them, but it's because I don't understand otherwise. And that's why I challenge it. And that's why I love what we're doing right now. I want to challenge the thoughts that come from people because that helps me. And it's kind of selfish altruism, I'll be honest, because I want to form my own opinion. And I can't possibly do that unless I get opposing views. If you are not willing to, this is my opinion, if you're not willing to challenge yourself with an opposing view, then you're never going to grow. You can't grow. You can't grow your idea. You can expand. You can't grow. I don't see it. So I guess at this moment, I can't form an opinion still. I feel like I need to hear some medical expert or something, or at least with some experience. I feel like I need to hear more from people who were, like in case of my friend that was raped and raised a kid, or somebody who was raped and ended up having an abortion. What was their situation? I need to understand more for me to actually say that I have an opinion, because I really don't. I think I'd be talking out of my ass, like probably most people, and just following some kind of trend, or saying what somebody else said and just regurgitating it to you, which is what Twitter does. This is what people in social media do, from what I've seen. They don't really have an explanation for their opinions. It seems to be pretty illogical to me. Like if somebody says, I'm completely against this, well, and you've seen this at work when I talk to people, I'm like, why? Like I don't want to get into that. That's another topic. But but if somebody has a strong opinion for something, that particular person I want to talk to. If somebody who's watching and has a very strong opinion about an idea, situation, something, whatever that's going on, just please put it in the comment, because I want to talk to you. I need your opinion. I need to know and understand, where is that coming from? Why are you so hard set on something? Because for all I know, you or I, or even Ellie, could be wrong about how we feel. But how
Yeah.
can you be?
No, you can't be wrong about how you feel.
I don't know if you can be, that way. And again, I'm not trying to offend you, but I feel like that's kind of arrogant to say as a human, that you are completely right, because you haven't heard everything, you haven't experienced everything.
Agreed, but my point was that I can't be wrong about how I feel. I could be
Oh, right. You're right.
wrong if I were trying to portray what other people feel or what should be. I don't think any, I mean, when I say I'm for people making their own choices and I'm pro choice, which I'm honestly just making that I'm making that distinction now because we're having I've never really thought about it to the point where I was like, I'm on this side or I'm on that side, because I could see both sides. I totally get it. I'm open to seeing both sides, but my emphasis on my distinction now is that being pro-choice is exactly that. It offers people the choice. Cutting people off and saying you cannot do this, don't care what your situation is, that's closed-minded. My opinion. And that's just my opinion. Now that can't be wrong because it's my opinion. I'm not stating that this is fact, that this is the way everyone should be. Now, if I was saying I am anti-abortion, abortion should be illegal, that could be wrong.
Now I'm curious, if you were to be a politician, you actually had the opportunity to change things or to put laws in place, wouldn't you say that your opinion matters? Wouldn't you say that your opinion does make a difference? Wouldn't you say that your opinion can be right or wrong in the face of everyone else?
It
Because
depends on how you portray it.
completely agree with you, and I could be wrong for saying this too, but I completely agree with you that your feelings are your own and you can be right or wrong about them, but your actions are what matters, based on your opinions, based on your life experiences, based on what you think is right.
So you're saying that I can influence other people's actions.
You can, with your opinions and your thoughts.
Right. So does that dilute their responsibility for their own actions?
But you can't do that if you are the governing body. You can't say that I'm going to put this law in place, but you go fucking deal with it. No, because they're relying on you to tell them. For example, the whole virus thing, and I don't want to say a name because if this is going on YouTube, but the whole virus thing, everyone thought that they were the experts. Everyone thought that they knew the right thing to do. But all along, if you had common sense and willing to look things up, they were wrong all along. And this stuff just came out as time progressed because you couldn't face it. You know, the whole mask thing, put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. It works, it doesn't work. Like, that's the problem. You know, how many people were dying just based on psychological issues like depression or things like that, isolation, or just the virus itself. For example. So I'm saying, I think your opinion does matter, especially if you have that opportunity to be able to make that change. Like, we're nothing. We don't have really that say, but obviously as a large group, we could make a change. As a person in power, you more likely are to be able to make a change. But now, if you, into what you said, you were in that situation, don't you think that your opinion matters?
Yes, and I'm not in that situation, but as far as I'm concerned, we're supposed to be a democracy. Whomever dictated that that was going to be the way things are run was in itself a democracy. And unfortunately, we're in a country where the majority rules, and that's just what it is. So everyone ultimately is going to have some deciding factor in it. Not everyone, but the people that are, of that power, they're making their own choice. So they're obviously pro-choice. They're pro their own choice, and they're collecting data in going with, I don't know if it's the masses on this topic of discussion, but that's the way our system is set up. It's structured that way. And it is what it is. So no, it doesn't matter what I think because I don't vote. I'm not allowed to vote.
Now, what do you think, Ellie? It looked like you had some thoughts there.
I don't vote either.
Yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your question though? Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to say an opinion about it cold-heartedly. I can't. I've been talking about this with my wife. I've been talking about it with my mom too, and she's very religious, so that was interesting. A couple of my friends too. You yourself, you Ellie. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can form an opinion yet. I'm not trying to cop out. I just don't know. I really don't know. I feel the way that people should be able to dictate what happens to their body in general. Well, I do feel like if it harms others, that's probably not okay, but I still don't understand that fully because I feel like there's a bigger problem underneath all of that. And I'm starting to feel that a lot of problems that are going on in the world that are surfacing have a lot in common. I'm not being conspiratorial or anything like that. I'm just thinking psychologically, there's something going on that we can probably do from birth and fix all of this, but I don't know what it is yet.
You're talking about some mindset where you have a unanimous decision across humanity, and it's never going to happen.
Right, we're never going to have utopia, but I'm just speaking, there's got to be something that we can make better that could do a lot more than putting a law in place, which and current standards, it seems like people are more willing to go woke, which I think it's a cult, go more woke or go express themselves against it, like right away, just go against it, whatever the law may be, whether it's rational or irrational. I feel like laws are probably not going to help at this point for whatever the topic may be. Whether it's
probably only going to get worse, especially if we're going towards a world government.
I don't know. The world, the world's fucked up.
And on next week's episode, why the world is fucked up.